Since 1959, more than 140,000 Tibetans have fled their homeland so they can practice freedom of religion and cultural expression, and so their children can receive a modern Tibetan education. To help them rebuild their lives in exile, the Tibet Fund was established in 1981 under the guidance of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The Tibet Fund coordinates international humanitarian assistance and helps Tibetans to preserve their cultural and national identity. For 25 years, the Tibet Fund's work has had a tremendous impact on the well-being of individual Tibetans, from newly arrived refugees to the elderly contending with illness and homelessness. At every step along the way, the Tibet Fund has touched the lives of thousands of Tibetans in exile. Refugees embark on a dangerous trek across the Himalayas in winter to avoid border guards. The unlucky are captured by Chinese authorities or turned back by Nepali border police. Some die on the way, and others arrive with severe frostbite due to the extreme cold. They need immediate medical care and long-term rehabilitation. The Tibet Fund administers a humanitarian assistance grant from the U.S. government to care for Tibetan refugees. Due to the large number of new refugees, the reception centers are often very crowded with people having to sleep in the hallways and out in the open. The majority of new refugees arrive with little or no education. The Tibet Fund works closely with the Central Tibetan Administration's Department of Education to serve students in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. The Tibet Fund is the major source of funding for 2 schools that have been established exclusively for new refugees and for computer classes in 13 Tibetan schools. We also administer the Tibetan Scholarship Program funded by the U.S. Department of State. Since 1988, 305 Tibetan students have come to study at colleges and universities in the United States. Of these, over 92% have returned to hold leadership positions in the Tibetan refugee community. The Tibet Fund supports a number of vocational training programs including carpentry, tailoring, Thangka painting, and computer training, which is especially important for young people making the transition from school to work. Working with the Department of Health in Dharamsala, the Tibet Fund supports urgently needed healthcare projects in hospitals and clinics in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. These projects provide infectious disease prevention and control, maternal and child health care, reproductive health, and primary care. Our highest priority is ensuring that the poorest settlements and schools have water reservoirs, water storage tanks, and pipelines to bring safe drinking water to Tibetan settlements. Many Tibetan communities are in remote areas with no health care facilities. Access to an ambulance can mean the difference between life and death. With a grant from the U.S. government, we have provided for 26 ambulances in 19 settlements, bringing life-saving assistance to residents. To support the refugee community's development, the Tibet Fund collaborates with the Department of Home on the construction of community halls, staff quarters, offices, guest houses, homes for destitute old people, and several housing projects in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. The Tibet Fund has also provided funding for computers and training of office staff to link 33 Tibetan settlements by internet. Other funding for income-generating projects for Tibetan refugees include organic farming, animal husbandry, greenhouses, irrigation, and cooperative development training. The Tibet Fund provides sponsorships for destitute monks and nuns, supports monastic institutions, classrooms and libraries at Jamyang Choling Nunnery in Dharamsala and Kidong Tukche Choling Nunnery in Nepal. Lama Mani, the traditional art of oral storytelling in Tibet, was on the verge of disappearing. The Tibet Fund helped to revive this tradition by enabling the lone surviving Lama Mani in exile to train young nuns in monasteries. The Tibet Fund has helped the Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts in Dharamsala to establish a multimedia center to produce films on Tibetan opera, dance, and music for distribution to Tibetan schools in India and around the world. We've also supported a project to preserve the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives in Dharamsala, to digitize audio-visual material, and to archive film footage. In 1994, the Tibet Fund launched the Kawachan Assistance Program to address the unmet medical, educational, and economic needs of Tibetans in Tibet. Working with Tibetan and international non-governmental organizations, the Tibet Fund is supporting English language and computer skills training programs, rural schools, and community development projects. In collaboration with the Nepal Tilganga Eye Center, the Kawachan Assistance Program provided grants to train Tibetan eye doctors in surgical procedures and run several eye surgery camps in Tibet. We have also helped build and equip the Lhasa Eye Center and Choshor Orphanage. The Kawachan Assistance Program provides scholarship opportunities in the USA for Tibetan students and professionals. Today, the Tibet Fund administers more financial assistance to Tibetans than any other single aid organization. We could not have done any of this without the continuing inspiration and encouragement of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The Tibet Fund's work would not succeed without the unwavering support and generosity of our friends and donors, the U.S. government, and the American people. With your continued help, the Tibet Fund looks forward to many more years of good work for the benefit of the Tibetan people. For more information on how you can help, please visit our website at www.tibetfund.org.